GOP presidential candidate, former governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Jim Gilmore, was recently excluded from the second GOP debate. It's fair to say, like others in the crowded field of White House hopefuls, he's trying to be heard over the headline-grabbing voice of Donald Trump. Governor Gilmore is currently the president and CEO of the Free Congress Foundation. He joins me from Washington. We'll start right off because you're leading the news today, Governor. You said that Hillary Clinton is no longer a viable candidate for president. Why?
Well, back in April, I was actually on television and called on her withdrawal. And the reason then was because I thought that her mishandling of the email scandal meant that she could no longer inspire confidence and trust in the American people. The announcement I've made today now shows that after all these months, it is absolutely true. We've now discovered today that there's more personal information that the FBI is looking at and finding. This is a serious problem. The mishandling of the emails, in fact, is probably not safe for this country. It probably is covering up things that she did with her foundation. It's just not an appropriate thing for a president of the United States. She should go on and get out of the race and leave the race to some other Democrat.
She's apologized for using the emails that way, and the FBI says it's not a criminal investigation. So?
Well, she hasn't done much of an apology. I mean, it isn't a matter of whether it's a criminal investigation. It's a matter of whether a person should be Secretary of State and at the same time operating the Clinton Foundation with her husband. And that creates a sense of wrongdoing, a sense of self-dealing. And frankly, we don't know yet what's going to happen as a result of the FBI investigation. If they're mishandling classified information, well, there have been plenty of government officials that have been eliminated as a result of that.
Governor, you were the governor of a major state and yet kept out of the debates. Out of the first debate, you were on the undercard, and the second debate, not at all. And you called it silly. Why do you think that was? Were they supposed to have 19 candidates on the floor?
Well, certainly in the under debate, they had only 4 people. They certainly could have included me at the very least after Perry got out. I think they were wrong. I think they acted not in the public interest, but it's passed now. It's done, and my opportunity is to go out there and carry out my strategy. And while it would be helpful, of course, to be in a debate, it isn't essential. I know what I need to do to be elected president, and I'm doing it.
And how are you doing it? Because David Fahrenheit in the Washington Post wrote that you haven't held a single formal campaign event with voters present. So what is the Gilmore campaign?
Well, first of all, David Fahrenheit was rather precise. He was talking about whether I had rented a theater and crowded it up with my supporters so that I could give a big flamboyant speech. That's not what we're doing. What we're doing is reaching out into the community by, number one, actually doing things. What David Fahrenheit didn't write was that I've already been in New Hampshire 9 times this year for multiple occasions on each one. Just 2 weeks ago, I spent a weekend in New Hampshire with 6 events on one day and a very big event on the following day. I have appeared on television, on all the major networks, probably between 20 and 30 times in the past 2 weeks. Radio, an additional 20 or 30 times. It isn't really about this, Larry. It's about the credentials that I have to run for president, the experience that I bring to the table that the other candidates don't have, and what I want to do for the United States of America. Certainly, communications is a part of that, but you know, going in front of some mocked-up theater type of thing, well, we've seen candidates do that quite well. Some of them aren't even in the race anymore.
All right, Scott Walker, when he ended his campaign, he urged other candidates to consider doing the same. He said the voters can focus on a limited number of candidates who can offer a positive conservative alternative to the front runner. He was referring to Mr. Trump. How did you react to that?
Well, I accept his endorsement. No, what he has said is that he thinks there needs to be a conservative with a positive message. I actually am very different from the other people that are in the race, but I have a positive message, and that positive message is a vision for this country where we restore our economy, we get more jobs created, we get creative opportunities for careers for young people that are coming out of colleges, and we get wages up. That's the positive message. The other side of the coin, though, is that while Obama says that everything is just great, the people of the United States know that it isn't great. We know that college students are coming out and struggling to get their career started. And you know what? If you have 1 or 2 or 3 years of college students that can't get a good start because of a stagnant economy, that is a generation lost. It's a crime against them, and it's a crime against the United States. Something has to be done about it. Nothing is being done about it. In fact, all the policies they've been putting into place hurt this economy, hurt opportunities, hurt wages, and somebody has to take the reins of the executive branch and affirmatively lead us back to a good economy. I'm that candidate.
Don't we have the lowest unemployment rate in years? The auto industry is healthy. Isn't the economy fairly healthy in America?
Well, I'm glad that the automobile economy is good. We do have major trade deficits because we're still bringing in cars from overseas, but never mind that. The point is that what this unemployment rate is disguising is the quality of what's really going on in this country. No matter what the unemployment rate is, everybody, left, right, up, down, over and under, Democrat and Republican, everybody agrees that wages are not going up in this country. It is also agreed that a part of the American experience has always been that we're so dynamic and so have such opportunity. And we believe the next generation will always do better than the last generation. Nobody believes that anymore. And we've got this new normal now of stagnant growth, growth rates under the historical norm, stagnant wages. This isn't good enough. It's not good enough for me, and it's dangerous to the future of the United States. We have to do something to get this country moving again. I'm going to be that candidate.
How do you explain the Trump, for want of a better word, phenomena?
Well, Larry, look, he's been on television for years with his reality show, his game show, and that has given him name identification. My critique of the race this year, every one of these races always seems to have its own dynamic, and this year it's poll numbers. But at this point in the race, poll numbers are really a product of name identification. Trump started off doing that, and then he, of course, boosted it further by saying outrageous things that he shouldn't have said as a matter of policy and that I'm disagreeing with as a matter of policy. That's the phenomena that you have there. And as everybody knows, he's feeding off the anger and resentment that the American people are feeling because of what I was talking about a few minutes ago. The stagnant economy and stagnant wages and lack of opportunity. Well, Trump just misdirected that. He basically is saying that the cause of that is the Latino community and the illegal immigrants. He's not right about that. It's wrong to single out any group of people in the United States of America and scapegoat them, except the Obama administration, which in fact, and Hillary Clinton would do the same thing, who have created a bad economic environment because of the laws that they've put into place to discourage opportunity in this country.
The Iran nuclear deal, it appears it's going to go forward. Why not give it a chance?
Well, I think we can give it a chance, but I have said very loudly and very affirmatively that it was and is a bad deal. That the way that I foresee it now, this deal is going to, in fact, give Iran the bomb in the long term. They've pretty much negotiated that. So if we give it a chance, we're just continuing to give Iran the resources that they need, resources of time and money and experience and expertise to go forward and actually create a bomb. What that does is it destabilizes the Middle East, Larry. So what I've said is this. If we can, the deal was not submitted as a treaty. And in fact, the Corker Amendment was wrong. It was voted for by all the senators that are in this race. Cruz, Rubio, Paul, and Graham all voted for that Corker Amendment, which turned the treaty process on its head and made the Republicans have to get the votes to block it, as opposed to the president having to get 2/3. Those senators were wrong to do that, and now they have the audacity to run for president of the United States. What I have done, though, is expressed a positive view of what we have to do. I believe we have to create a Middle East NATO in order to provide the resources of collective security to restrain Iran and go after ISIS. I believe that the sequester has to come off of the defense budget. I believe our military organizations have to be rebuilt. And I believe we have to express strength in this foreign policy with a strong economic backing of our foreign policy. If you do that, you can begin to address the challenges that we're facing right now in the world, which are very serious. Russia, China, Iran, the dissolution of the Middle East. We're in a very dangerous situation. I think the American people know it. But I have the experience in foreign policy that, frankly, the other candidates don't have, and I'm expressing it with specific proposals and directions for the United States.
Governor, you are an Army counterintelligence officer. You chaired the congressionally mandated advisory panel to assess domestic response capability about terrorism. In terms of national security, what right now worries you the most?
Larry, what worries me the most? I'll tell you the two things that worry me the most. Number one, the Russians worry me a lot. When I was in the intelligence community with the United States Army in Europe during the Cold War, I saw the Russians up close and personal, and I know what they're really all about. We had a time when they could have been really good participants in the community of nations. That time is past. Putin is dangerous. He's pushing out. And frankly, I think that he could create a miscalculation that might lead us into a real war, because he may push us to the point where we have no choice but to react, and then you're really in trouble. That's one of the things that keeps me up at night. The other is if the terrorist community across the terrorist organizations across the world can get into this country and do something really bad. I fear the American reaction to that, because we haven't had executive leadership that's really had a serious discussion about homeland security, national security, public safety, and how the liberties of the American people all connect up with that. You can't give up the American liberty in order to react to these international terrorists, but you must be vigilant and support our intelligence community. These are sophisticated ideas, and the president has not discussed it. The next president is going to have to be candid with the American people.
In another area, the Obama administration plans to increase the number of Syrian refugees. The former CIA director David Petraeus called Syria a geopolitical Chernobyl of extremism and chaos. Where is all this going, Governor?
Well, first of all, I'm as humanitarian as anybody else, I believe, and I'm very concerned. I was in Europe recently, and they're very concerned about the refugee crisis. But, you know, we don't have the economy right now to support hundreds of thousands of additional people who will be coming in uneducated and uninformed, unable to speak the English language into this country. We don't have that many jobs. We don't have a dynamic economy. I think put first things first on that, Larry. Yes, it is true that Syria is a international Chernobyl. The most dangerous thing of all, I'm sure you would understand how I feel, is the fact that the Russians have started putting in weapons and soldiers into Syria. This creates a permanent problem over there. It is very dangerous. It creates the possibility of Russian soldiers and American forces getting into conflict of each other. There's been no policy expressed on this whatsoever. That worries me a great deal.
What do you make of Dr. Ben Carson's statement that he could not agree that a Muslim could be president of the United States?
You know, I'm not doing any personal attacks on my opponents, but I feel like I am free and have an obligation to disagree with them on policy. Ben Carson's just not right about that. You cannot have religious tests in this country. If you're going to condemn all Muslims, no matter what their thinking is or how they feel about things, and say that a person of the Muslim faith can't be president, then the next step is to say that somebody else maybe in a different kind of religious group can't be president of the United States because you don't agree. You know, we all, and I take second chair to no one since I was chairman of the National Commission on Homeland Security. I take second chair to no one in protecting this country here in the United States against radical terrorism. But I think that Dr. Carson was wrong in saying that, and I disagree with him. He also had said that we should eliminate the Veterans Administration, and I don't agree with that either. As a United States Army veteran, I think that would be an improper policy also.
When you announced, you said, I don't seek the presidency because I want to be something. I seek it because I want to do something. All right, let's get one specific thing President Jim Gilmore would do. First day in office.
Well, the first day in office, I'm going to take control of the reins of government. You have to make sure that the international situation is moving in the direction that you want it to go, and that things are safe, and that you begin to work with the Congress and you work with people in order to get your programs put into place. But you're not asking that. You're asking, what is it that is the driving force behind a Gilmore presidency? And the answer is, we're going to go right to work and put together an economy that actually encourages growth, that encourages business, that does what's necessary to stop all these bad laws, that we're going to, in fact, stop all this extra investment, taxes on investment. We're going to change the tax code to 10, 15, and 25% for individuals, 15% for a unified tax on any commercial activity. We're going to eliminate the death tax. You're going to do the things necessary to really get the country growing again. Right now, every law that's been put into place by the Obama-Clinton administration has been something to discourage growth in this country. As a result of that, Americans are frustrated. They know they don't have the opportunities. They know their paychecks are declining, not growing. They know their future is not safe and secure. They know they go to work wondering if they're going to be laid off the next day and then not be able to get back to work. These are the angers and frustrations that the American people are right to express. A Gilmore administration will address it on day one.
Finally, Jim, the next Republican debate is October 28th. Are you in for the long haul, and do you expect to be on that debate?
Well, I certainly hope I'll be included in every debate. I have something to say, and I am campaigning vigorously. I am going to be participating right to the very... I'm not getting out of the race, Larry. There's no need for me to get out of the race. I'm the right person to be the president. I'm the electable Republican who can actually get elected in this country. I'm the one that simply needs to get out there and express my ideas and let people know who I am, what my background and experience is, and what I want to do for the United States, and I'll rise naturally in the polls. Now, being in the debate would help me communicate that, but it's not the only way to communicate with the American people. I'm doing it right now with you, as a matter of fact. So we'll continue to get out there and push with these ideas. I expect to be the nominee. I expect to win the presidency. I expect to do the right thing for the people of the United States. But I'm not going to get out and let the country go downhill and continue on downhill. That's not what I'm about, and that's why I'm in the race, to improve this nation.
Always good seeing you. Thank you, Governor, for being with us.
Good. Thank you, Larry.
Governor Jim Gilmore, former governor of Virginia.